Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John, this is Betty, a true net, and welcome back to Imperator Rome, where last time we started to run into a little bit of difficulty. At the beginning of the game we picked off some city-states, nice and easy, but now things are starting to get complicated, because we have lost a whole lot of manpower in a series of wars, and we have not actually got that much out of it. That's not to say we've got nothing. If we wanted to, we could actually start building our fleet for the first time. We have a port and we have access to water, and arguably even more importantly, we have access to stone. So all of our fortresses are a lot tougher than they used to be, and I think that's represented by how regularly an enemy gets to roll the dice when they're trying to siege you. So it just makes the siege go on longer, because the longer they're sieging, the more attrition they're taking. Those gains, however, have left our army in a sad state, and it's going to take some time to recover. So, two big things we need to do today. The first, we need to actually make some big changes to how the state is organised to increase the amount of manpower we've got available to us, because right now it's just coming in way too slowly. And fortunately, we have actually got a fair bit of oratory stored up. So, let's go over to the laws here and see what we can do, because changes to the law can have big impacts on your society. So right now I'm getting a bonus 5% morale because of noble elite. But I could change that over to actually get the maintenance costs down, or national manpower up 10%. Yeah, that's got to be what we want to change immediately. So let's just get that done. Lovely. The Draft Act is now in play. So right now the impact of aggressive expansion is reduced by 10%. But honestly, we don't have that much aggressive expansion, and it doesn't really matter hugely to me anyway. Because, yeah, I don't have much in the way of wrong culture group individuals inside my empire. I don't have any subject states. So this would be a logical one to potentially change, especially as a manpower recovery speed plus 10%, national commerce income up 5%. That's good stuff. This one's nice too though. So normally you'd need 15 slaves to have a surplus off a local item. You can get that down to 13 with land seizure. Not bad at all. But yeah, that military settlement policy, that's tempting. That's very tempting. Let's just check there's nothing else that's even better first though. So I could sacrifice a little bit of population growth for, another capital import route. That's very nice indeed. And another 10% to manpower recovery speed, but that would increase wages by 5%, so there would be a cost to that. Probably best not to prioritise that one, just as, yeah, I can actually get manpower recovery speed up faster than that without actually taking a hit to monthly wages. Now this one's interesting. So right now my tyranny goes down by 0.06, and in republics, tyranny's a big deal. By denying priests the right to sit in the Senate, I can actually effectively double that, but the religious faction will become slightly more influential because, people will be annoyed at that, some people will agitate in their favour. That's really nice too, but I'd need to give up call omen costs down 10%. That's really worth it. Oh, there's so many things I want to change, but I can only afford one more. Yeah, it has to be military settlement. We're going to go for that. So aggressive expansion impact will be more extreme, but that barely matters. For manpower recovery speed and national commerce income up 5%. That's starting to get somewhere. Let's get that in play as well. But yeah, at this point, as I start actually changing the law, people are becoming less and less happy with me changing the law. They'd like at least some laws to stay the same, please. And I've already moved 13 freemen over to Ellis, where we've already got 3 training camps. So, this is pretty much as I can do. Let's actually just get time ticking along here. See what actually happens at the end of this month. Because, yeah, that won't actually tick over until the end of the month. And that's actually... It says 83 there. Possibly it has ticked over in the tooltip. It just hasn't tipped over at the top there. Yeah, yes it has. So, that's a pretty big increase, which is not so bad. And Azania wants to attack me. Surely... Well, actually, you know what? Technically, they have more men than us right now. I'd be able to hold them off with the help of the fortresses, but at this point they actually have more men than me. But I've got more morale, and I've got to be gaining troops faster than them, because I've set up my entire nation to try and recover as fast as possible. Now, let's talk about what we're going to do with these guys, because these guys are in an interesting position right now. The remaining 3 city-states that make up the 5 that could form Arcadia. You see, the thing is, Azania is guaranteed by Macedon, and so is Mantinea, but Megalopolis down here is not. But they're allied to Megalopolis anyway. In short, if I attack Megalopolis, they're pulled in, but Macedon isn't. Not that I need to be worried about Macedon for too much longer, potentially, because if I think I had a bad episode last time, oh, they are having a much worse one. Phrygia is now right there. And somehow Phrygia ate Thrace without getting Macedon involved. I assume Thrace got pulled into a war because of a territory they were guaranteeing or something. But yeah, Thrace is barely even there anymore. Though finishing them off is going to be difficult because anybody who attacks Thrace immediately goes to war with Egypt, Getia, and the Seleucids. Though I can't imagine that Getia is going to be too interested in guaranteeing Thrace for too much longer. I feel like Getia is probably just going to eat them instead. But of course, this is where things could get nasty fast. If Phrygia attacks Macedon, Macedon is being guaranteed by the Seleucids and by Egypt. So at that point, yeah, big Seleucid attack, big Egyptian attack. Right now, Egypt's just been quite peaceful the entire game. The Seleucids have been, I think, warring with Armenia a little bit. They're not too worried about Morea, by the way. Morea seems to be having some trouble with little states around here. So they've definitely got their own problems to worry about. Speaking of nations in an interesting position, by the way, Rome has finally gone to war with Samnium, but I'm not sure how well that's actually going to go for them. Rome right now has 35 cohorts on the field, and they're simultaneously at war with Samnium, with Lucania, and with Brutia. So Samnium's only got 11 cohorts, sure, but 19 cohorts over here, and 26 down here. These guys have got a lot of strength. If they can actually pull all those forces together simultaneously, Rome could be in a bit of trouble. But then again, of course, don't forget, Rome has plenty of allies coming to help out too. Only these little guys, but little city-states, can punch above their weight just because of the base income that all factions receive. So yeah, there's another 7 cohorts there, another 15, another 16. Rome's probably got this, but they could be beaten back to a white peace yet. So, back over to me. I can't use my own armies anymore, and that means I'm going to be needing someone else's armies, and that means mercenaries. So these are all the mercenaries in the world, and there are quite a few of them. They're arranged by how close they are to me, but that doesn't necessarily mean I want to actually recruit the closest ones, because, yeah, there's an army floating around somewhere around here, that is 9,000, 18,000, 21,000 men. That would probably be overkill for taking out a few city-states. I don't need that many men, so therefore, I don't need to pay that much. This seems more reasonable down here. About 16,000 men, and they're currently located over here on one of the tiny Greek islands. But here's the fun thing about mercenaries. When you hire them, they're officially exiled, marked with a black flag, until they actually get back to your territory. The moment they set foot on territory you own, then they act like any other troops that you control, until they either die, or you pay the breakdown amount to send them on their way, at which point they'll march back to wherever home is. So I can just hire those guys and walk them over to my territory, but of course I'll need to be paying them during the march. But because they're black flagged and exiled, I can just walk them across territory I don't actually have military access to, because they're not really considered part of my army or anybody's army. They're just allowed to go where they want, but they won't actually attack anything, besiege anything like that, until they activate by reaching my territory. But that's absolutely fine, because they need some time to get their morale up to speed anyway, because when you hire mercenaries, they have very low morale. So even if I were to hire mercenaries on my own territory, I'd have them standing there doing nothing for a while their morale built up before we actually went to war. So you kind of may as well hire the most appropriate mercenaries, even if they're a bit further away, and then just walk them to your territory as a chance to let their morale tick up a bit. And of course, if I do go to war, Sparta will be in on that, so will Aetolia. But those guys have about 8,000 or 7,000 troops, so I don't need to worry about not being the commander in the siege anymore, because my mercenary army will definitely be the largest force present. But most of the actual fighting can be handled by those guys. Regardless, I shouldn't actually begin the war until my troops are strong enough to defend themselves, so I'm not immediately counter-invaded. And one thing I should do, by the way, national unrest off war exhaustion is starting to tick up a little bit, so I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of military power to invoke a devotio in order to get that war exhaustion down a bit. Lovely. And that reduction in unrest is probably worth it, because people who aren't suffering from unrest are more productive, so we'll probably get a tiny bit of an economic uptick from that. Oh, this is cute, by the way. Olympia actually has its own tiny unique modifier, so it gets a permanent -1 to unrest simply for being the site of the Olympic Games. That's really cool. And I also need to save up another 25 civic power, because yeah, I actually have an unused trade route into Achaia, I'm already using all of the ones in Laconia, but Achaea has one due to free trade, the low commerce tax policy. So I do actually need to get that filled out, because yeah, that's very valuable indeed. You never want to leave a trade route empty. In fact, actually, if I was to move the governor policy for this place using 45 oratory from acquisition of wealth over to encourage trade, that would actually be, yeah, 2 trade routes around here. That'd be pretty good, and oh dear, that's the leader of the religious faction. He has now passed away, so as a result of that, the religious faction is going to inherit a new leader. So the new leader is much better. So as a result of that, we can expect this faction to have more than 1 seat momentarily. And are they going to start jumping up immediately? Not straight away. It might take 1 full month of him in control before that changes. But yeah, right now, there is a single seat belonging to the religious faction. So that's probably going to change in just a moment now. As soon as we tick over into July, I would expect to see a change there. And yes, straight up to a whopping 2 seats. He's already doubled their presence in the Senate. He's going to do a lot more than that, though. Here we go. We got 50 civic power. So change the policy in Achaea over to encourage trade for more local import trade routes. So now we got 2 trade routes right there. Not a huge amount available to us, to be honest. What do we actually have available? There are olives. So I could get a surplus going on there, but a surplus outside of your capital doesn't really do anything. It's just a moderate benefit on top of that. So I think that goes up from 10% to 12%. So there's no real point going in that direction here. Instead, you just want as many single things as possible if it's not the capital. So, number 1 would be, yeah, grain's definitely worth doing. We'll import that from Laconia. Lovely. But on top of that, we've already got olives and fish. So, bit of a shame, to be honest. It would be nice to have something new, but at the bare minimum, we are making good money off that. It's like 0.25 gold a month off every import trade route. So, we may as well, I suppose. I mean, if nothing else, take the extra growth rate. Let's actually get a little profit of fish going on. Though trade routes coming into Achaea are not worth quite as much as Laconia, because Achaea isn't as well developed and it doesn't have so many territories present. So, still good though. Still very, very good indeed. And that's going to be worth a fair amount of money when we hit February. In fact, actually, we're probably about ready to hire those mercenaries. I'm up to 3,000 men and gaining. So, the army's going to take some time to recover, but I think it's time to bring in the mercs. But first things are going from bad to worse in Macedon, apparently. So, the death of the Macedonian ruler has caused a great deal of political disturbance in the country. Eager to take advantage of the situation, numerous lackeys and pretenders have risen up to bear arms against Philip IV. Oh my goodness, we've got a civil war going on up there. So, pretenders in Macedon can now be supported with a new character interaction. Because it's not just a civil war, it's a civil war that everybody gets to be involved with. So if you decide you want to back one of the pretenders, you can do. So no immediate sign of anything breaking away, but right now, where we can't see it, there might be armies all over the shop, marching around, putting cities under siege. Keep an eye on Macedon. Some of it might start immediately breaking apart very quickly. And if so, this could be an excellent time to go and grab Corinth, Argos, Epidauros, because if I recall correctly, these places aren't properly fortified. Yeah, Argos, completely unfortified. Epidauros, level 1 fort. Corinth, completely unfortified. This place is way easier to walk into than any of these little city-states. Oh yeah, this is looking good for Samnium, isn't it? Look at this. Rome's actually being counter-invaded right now. Love it. So, I'm up to a war chest of 550 odd gold, and I've got a surplus of 6.7 gold. So I can hire mercenaries right now and keep running them for quite some time. I think it's time to do it. The question is, which mercenaries? All I need is enough that even after taking a fair bit of attrition, they can continue sieging down all 3 of those city-states. There are some even cheaper ones over here, 12,000 men over in Phrygia, and actually that would have the fun advantage that I could actually walk them through Macedon just to get a view of what's going on in that territory right now, but 12,000 might actually be a bit small. Those guys might actually suffer enough attrition, they're not able to push on against the final few city-states. And I'd like to take all 3 of these cities in a single war just to get them out of the picture. You know what, let's just do the maths here for safety. So, these 16,000 mercs here at Delos, they're going to cost me about 11.5 gold every single month after I hire them. I make about 6.5 gold right now, so I'm going to end up with a deficit of about 5 gold a month or 60 gold a year. Disbanding the unit will ultimately cost about 100 gold, so I can't go below that. So this war could go on for multiple years and I'd still be able to afford the mercenaries. I'll slowly be losing money, but that kinda doesn't matter. I've built up my war chest for exactly this purpose. One thing however, these guys do actually have a truce with me for the next 5 odd years. So I can't go to war with them until that's up without taking a -5 stability hit. I cannot take that. Then again, I say I can't take that, just in terms of how much it would cost me in sacrificing to the gods. That's actually pretty cheap to do when stability is low. If I took the -5 hit, that'd take me down to -2. I could probably get myself straight back up to 0 or +1 just off that much religious power, because I've actually been banking that quite effectively. It's not worth the risk though, because probably no one else will be willing to follow me into that war. I totally wouldn't. Sparta would. That's actually not so bad. Do I really want to do this? Oof, -7 total. Right, because I don't even have a Casus Belli right now. Let's hold on for the time being. Also, Troyzen is currently not occupied, or rather, it's totally independent. When and why did Sparta surrender Troyzen? I'm not sure when that happened, but yeah. So this is now just empty territory, like the sort you find over here. Because this is all cities, it's just cities that aren't attached to anybody, they're just waiting to be colonized. So I'm not sure why Sparta decided to give up Troyzen, they just did. And the next election's an absolute landslide, because yeah, the head of the merchant faction, which is already extremely powerful, does have the right to stand again, so he's going to be elected with a massive majority right there. Yeah, just look at that. All that popularity and all that prominence. The populist faction are a third behind him, the civic faction too, even some of the religious faction, who are now up to 7 seats. Well done, guys. And in he comes. So merchant faction back in control, commerce income is up, diplomatic reputation is up, and this guy is decent if not spectacular. Small problem. Leader of the populace is currently actually leading with 37 votes, including, a great deal of civic faction, all the rest of it. So, okay, I'm guessing you're popular. Well, not anymore, you're not. We'll just be getting rid of some of that popularity. Can't do anything about prominence, though. This guy is, he was the guy who was just naturally very prominent. You know what? I'm actually going to give Tesmotete over to the religious guy. We'll see if we can just boost up the religious faction a little bit, steal some seats off the populace, and maybe be able to get enough support together that this guy might actually be the next leader. Okay, I've let some time tick by just to save up a bit more religious power, but I'm not waiting till 480 to have another crack at Megalopolis. We can make this happen now, and I've got the religious power to offset the problems with stability. So, we're going to break the truce. We're going to do it. But first, however, we've got ourselves a military tradition. This one's kind of useless to me, but it will open up arms for hire next time, and mercenaries seem important, so let's just start moving in the direction of being able to take mercenaries next time. I just cleared out my military and thus can't hire the mercenaries. Genius. Right, just a few more months then. You know what? I'll spend 50 gold on 25 military. Go on, just this one occasion. Okay, recruit the forces of Delos. Remember, do not drop below 100 gold under any circumstances. So, recruit them. They are now welcome aboard. They now work for me. And they are now going to just march to my territory via this route. Right, you guys, get over here as fast as possible. My troops, I'm going to have them hide up here in the mountainous territory, because I don't want them accidentally caught in any form of battle. I'd rather have them hide over there. So these guys are going to take a little bit of light damage while they actually move over in my direction. That's absolutely fine. Shouldn't be a major issue. Hang on. This unit just became de-exiled. Why is this unit de-exiled? It has not stepped on territory friendly to me. This territory isn't friendly to me. Well, it's got an overlord that I'm guaranteed by, but uh-oh. This isn't good. Because now there's no access for the unit. Why did that just stop being exiled? I don't know, but that's actually a problem. Because Phrygia's not going to give me military access, because they really, really hate me. So, what I need to do, therefore, is I can't actually improve relations with them because they're outside of diplomatic range. Even though they're right next to me, because that's calculated by capital to capital. So, okay. I've got no way of making Phrygia like me. That's actually impossible. So, therefore, I've got no way of getting them to offer me any form of military access. At all. Right, so we have to break this unit apart and pay them off. Right, okay. Good start. But, valuable lesson learned, hire mercenaries in more sensible positions. Also, maybe save before hiring mercenaries, because sometimes they can be a bit weirdly unpredictable. And apparently Olympia can have a free granary. Marvellous, congratulations guys, enjoy your granary. Also, some guy from Megalopolis has just shown up. Okay. Apparently we don't get a say in that, he's just here. So, disavow job, yes. Disavow office, yes. Disavow command, yes. Right, so as a foreign citizen, he's not actually allowed to do anything. Which is a bit of a shame, because he's actually got a martial ability of 12. That's really high. But if I sacrifice just a tiny bit of popularity, then the Dianids become a prominent family. Yeah, you know what? Screw it. Welcome aboard. You're really good at your job. Yeah, my current general is only martial of 8, which is not so good, though disciplined is nice. Right, who else have I just invited into my empire? Because honestly, we've got too many people here. Ah, it's literally just him. Fine. Actually, he's brave, which is not bad at all. Yeah, congratulations, you can now command my armies. Then again, my armies aren't planning to go into war anytime soon. He'd actually be better placed acting as, yeah, this guy, because this government office actually increases the tax take. So you are now officially the tax man, who apparently travels around with the army, shaking people down. I've also just hit 100 civic power. And I can't help but want siege engineers +1. Yeah, naval supply lines. Just basically get myself better and better at sieging. Just to speed up the sieges when it does come to pass. Okay, I've dropped a save in case this goes wrong. Again. But this time, let's find some mercenaries in a sensible position where I don't need to march them through Phrygia. Whoa, what the hell just happened to Phrygia? Whoa, 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 whoa. Right, okay, so Phrygia in the end has had a bit of a bad day. Right, hello there, you're still the king, but Phrygia has most definitely started having some problems. So these are, yeah, some sort of Phrygian breakaway state. Yeah, Phrygia's very distracted for the minute. And Rome, meanwhile, were able to eat most, but not all of Samnium. The problem we've got here is these mercenaries were really the Goldilocks mercenaries. About 16,000 men was absolutely perfect. Anything more than that is overkill that just costs me more money than I really want to spend. But I'm kind of lacking in options here. I might just have to hire these guys. But in which case, yeah, the treasury's not looking as good as it was. That's minus 10 every single month. So minus 120 a year. And a siege can drag on for a year. Yeah, we're just going to have to go for it. So we're going to be in a rush during this war. It needs to be wrapped up sooner rather than later. And don't drop under 126 because we're going to need to break them down. And on top of that, the mercenary company leader has joined our court momentarily. 21,000 troops. We don't need 21,000 troops, but okay, it's what we're doing. On the plus side, at least we have access through this territory. We know these guys can make it to our territory. So we're going to start losing money, like, really, really fast here. But hopefully this is all going to work out. And bear in mind, they can't fight. Not immediately. And by the way, where can you even stand? We can... Okay, you're going to have to stand in Ellis because there's not enough supply for you anywhere else. Good. So about 1,000 of them have just died walking into my territory. Good stuff, good stuff. Keep walking, guys. Get into Alice, get into Alice. I don't even know if these guys regenerate or not. I'm not sure if that's actually a thing they do. So, anytime you're ready. Okay, they're under 20,000. Oh, no. Yes, indeed, they do regain strength if they're standing on the right spot. Excellent. Now, the problem is, their morale is currently only 0.9 out of 3.5. Going up by 0.35 every month. So up by 1 every 3 months, and they need to go up by another 2.5. So they need to stand around for most of a year before they're actually ready to do anything useful. Good, good. Well, you know what? We may as well run the Olympics. That's absolutely fine. So, those guys up... Why'd you only have a leader of 1? Why? Why would you actually have a mercenary company if you only have a marshal of 1? Oh, I should have checked that. Right. Oh, this is good. But they're going to outnumber their enemies by so much. Surely it's fine, right? Ooh, omen time, though. Do we want manpower up or... Hang on, guys, hang on. There's too many things happening at once here. How's my economy looking right now? It is... wow. Commerce is actually worth more than tax by a significant margin. So, in which case, we should actually get the Blessing of Hermes in. Let's get national commerce income up even more. That's not going to be bad at all. And a group of senators who align themselves to the military faction. Hang on, let me just double check this here. A group of senators, plural. I'm not convinced, actually. You know why? Because you don't have plural senators. You've only got the one. So they're really sad about the state of the senatorial guard. I can lose 78 gold paying them off, or I can ignore their whining, in which case a whole one senator is less likely to vote for me. Well, you could shove off, actually, because you officially do not matter. And the Olympics have been won by a chap from Cyrene. Congratulations. Oh, hang on. Macedon is on the move. What is going on here? Hello, Macedon. Who are you at war with right now? Oh, Epirus, and Boeotia, and Apulia, and Thuria. Right, okay. How much does Epirus have right now? 14 cohorts. Not spectacular, to be honest. No. I suspect that Macedon... Yeah, Macedon should do pretty well out of that. The whole pretender threat never really materialised. Phrygia is most definitely busy for a while. Okay, the mercenaries are now strong enough. It's time to begin this war because otherwise money's going to start draining dangerously fast here. So, covert actions, get the fabricate claim down. We're having that off you. What's the best option here? What's actually the best option? I've got 7,000 troops right here. Azania is about 4,000. These guys are 5,000. I don't want to fight with my own troops. I simply don't. So the best option actually would be to go straight for Azania. Because Sparta's got 7,000 troops, they can go and deal with the armies of Megalopolis. And if they come to attack me, I'm just hanging out on this mountain with a massive defensive advantage. Annoyingly, the Senate are not particularly on side for this one, which is a bit of a shame, though the military faction is. They said they weren't going to vote for me, but you know what? It's a war. They love war in that faction. Yeah, this is kind of my own fault, really, because the merchant faction are totally on board, and I was the one that encouraged people to join the religious faction, and now they're not voting for a war. So we're just going to have to accept some bonus tyranny. But tyranny is more money off the slaves. Not that I've really got any slaves, to be honest, so screw it, let's go, we're moving in, and Sparta will join in, Aetolia will not, and their allies are coming in too. Yep, let's get this done, boom. So that's a massive hit stability, that's absolutely fine, don't worry about it, because we've got enough religious power to stab a pig, right, and now stab another pig, so we're back up to stability of neutral, but that is a big hit too. Oh, that's a big hit to tax, actually. That's a fairly big hit to tax. Hopefully this all works out. Right, you guys just head up to Azania, murder them, see what they do. Sparta, if you'd like to go and murder these guys, that'd be great. So, oh yeah, these guys were on low pay. Look at that, because now they've jumped up to normal pay, so their morale is catastrophically low. So my mercenaries can easily win these fights. That's not a problem at all. So, how would that be a difficult fight? You've got 20,000 men, dear oh bloody dear. Surely that's got to be inaccurate. If these mercenaries lose because they've got a comically inept general. No, we just won immediately. Okay, fascinating. Marshall is up to 6, so my armies are now getting stronger. These guys are now just chilling out right here. Where's Sparta? Sparta, I'd like you to get involved, please. A shadow of doubt. What's going on here? So our nation has fallen from grace. My bad. Betrayed a truce. Lots of backstabbing. Diddly diddly dee. But I could pay 168 religious power for +1 stability and some popularity. That'll get me into a religious debt, but it's cheaper than stabbing a pig. So it's probably for the better, yes. And Sparta are moving in right now. Don't really know what you guys are doing. Right, back over here to the siege, please. So yeah, we've got +2 of siege engineering, -2 off level 2 fortress, but unfortunately the commander is terrible and losing strength terrifyingly fast. Oh, if they're not actually able to win this, that'll just be such a flipping embarrassment. That's ridiculous. Right, please stop rolling badly. There we go, supply shortage. Sparta would like military access. Yes, you're welcome to it. Come on in. Murder these guys. Go ahead. I can also call in the Aetolians if I want. So, opinion, war balance. They themselves are at war. yeah, call to arms. Let's see if the Aetolians are willing to join up. There we go. So, yeah, Aetolians are in on this. Lovely. War exhaustion is high. Oh, national unrest is seriously high, actually, because of the truce breaking. Okay, religion. We don't have enough martial to invoke a devotio, but as soon as that reaches 100, we should probably do that. This war might have been a mistake, actually. Could have been a mistake. Right, that's good. These guys are just marching down into Sparta, so that doesn't actually affect me in the slightest. So, good. It's my war, but Sparta are suffering for it. Good, 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 good. That works for me. And also, we are no longer importing grain from somewhere. Okay, what happened to the grain? Presumably someone changed hands. Let's just import some more grain from Bithynia Superior. There we go, I've got my grain surplus back. Now, the Aetolians are going to now fight the Mantineans. Good. That's actually very good indeed. Spartans are coming in as well. So a big fight's going to kick off. Doesn't involve me in the slightest. So Sparta are coming in. Oh yeah, Sparta. In you come. Kick their asses, Sparta. You can do this. You've got the heavy infantry. I believe in you. So Sparta are going to come in, do some damage to them as well. And Sparta are going to... yes, Sparta are going to win that one easily. Now, I need you guys to actually, you know, start winning these sieges, like, really fast. Because you're dropping troops terrifyingly quickly. My treasury is... actually, my treasury is draining more slowly because as mercenaries die, they don't need to be paid anymore. So this is all good stuff. By the way, yes, I told you, you can totally come through my territory. I don't know who told you you couldn't. Right, Devotio, please. Get the war exhaustion down a little bit. That's good. And then, yeah, at this point, matter of time for us to take this one. So come on. Come on, just... there we go. So we've won one siege immediately. Move it straight on to Mantinea if you'd be so kind. So there are now 7,800 odd Mantinean troops floating around with... actually, that's the forces of Megalopolis too, just chilling out right here. They're just rampaging through Spartan territory. Doesn't really affect me. I'm hiding my troops on top of a mountain just to make sure there's no problem here. These guys are chilling out, but as their numbers fall, the actual level of attrition seems to be slowing down slightly too. If need be, I can deploy my own troops to assist. I'd rather not, but together, we've got to have 10,000. And yeah, at this point, the Mantineans are just sitting in Sparta, unable to actually siege it. So they're just chilling out doing nothing, basically. Ah, but here we go. I think that's the combined forces of Aetolia and Sparta. Yeah, they're actually leading the siege over there right now, which is... that's not really good, actually. That means they could be the siege leaders if they get lucky and they take Megalopolis. That's not good at all. And by the way, leader of the Civic faction's coming in. What do you guys want? Civic and Merchant faction have been odds. Well, kind of by default, just because they're the two largest factions, I suppose. That does indeed make sense. They're willing to offer a bit of cooperation, albeit vaguely worded, but they also want a vaguely worded favour. Okay. What do I actually want to do here? Don't want him to lose loyalty, but his loyalty is very good, so I don't need to worry about that, to be honest. Yeah, you know what? I'll say yes. We might need them to vote for us. They're a big faction. I don't really want to alienate them. So we're just getting on with this over there. Water shortage! That means that's a good roll. Yeah, water shortage is a nice high roll, meaning we immediately move 2 stages onwards. Love it. So these guys need to, yeah, finish off this and then come and take over this siege. So we are the siege leaders at the end of it. Macedon, meanwhile, is... oh, Macedon's just eaten Euboea. Euboea doesn't exist anymore. They've just eaten them. And they're going to eat a bit of Epirus too. Macedon is actually doing well. Thrace has somehow taken this territory. I've no idea how they did it, but they have. So, there we go. And Apulia is also going to eat some of flippin' Samnium. They're shaping up to be a major force in southern Italy. And I've managed to actually avoid the populist leader. Because, as I was hoping for, the religious leader is now in charge. And he's a decent martial leader, so that's fine for me. Okay, I wish I didn't have to do this, but... I'm going to actually deploy my troops into the siege of Megalopolis, just for the time being, because at this point, these guys could get lucky and win the siege. It's very unlikely, but it could happen. So, I need to... no, 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 no. Oh, you absolute sneaky bastards. You absolute dicks. They've actually managed to get on top of my army. They're going to hit my flipping army. Because, oh, what a bunch of dicks. 6th of November. 8th of November! No! I can't give up the siege. Oh, what a bunch of gits. No, you don't, alright? No, because I've got one ace up my sleeve here. So you get on with this job. Alright, you, congratulations. I've actually got a strength 12 general right here. Yeah, that's actually just changed to our side might win. So good luck, you're suddenly going to actually need it. Because I'm technologically ahead of you. I have got the better general. So at this point, there we go. Oh, we're still going to lose a load of men. But the Siege of Mercenary is won. You guys move straight on, please. As fast as you flipping can. As fast as you can. Oh, this is... We're gonna win, but we're gonna have lost so many men. This is the one thing I didn't want to happen. Now stop. Okay, am I currently leading the siege? Because I should be in control of this siege. Why am I not in control of this siege? Wait, maybe it's based on command, not number of units present. In which case, as soon as this battle's done, this guy can come up to here, and then he would take over. So, we still win overall, assuming we're about to win this fight. And, oh no, this is becoming one of those really slow fights. Because now our flanks are just skirmishing against each other. Oh, come on. Guys, this battle's been going on for literally weeks. Guys, stop it. Guys, come on. And someone's come to reinforce. Hang on, who just showed up to reinforce? I think, like, the Spartans did or something. Right, there we go. Okay, no. Guys, get over here. Get into here right now. I do not want this siege won when I'm not in command of it. Just hold off for 1 second, please. Hold off for 1 second. Do not win that siege. Don't you flipping dare. Okay, good. Now, we just need to get in here, and then I should have won. We didn't even lose that many men in that battle, alright? It's fine. So you guys are getting over here, and then... I think we should be controlling this siege right now, right? We should control this siege. Yes, we're going to do it. We're going to get all of it. And we haven't gone bankrupt. That's the important thing. We have not gone bankrupt at all. Now we can just show up and say, good job, guys. I'll take it from here. We literally just showed up at the end there, and now that belongs to us. And also, those guys now attacking each other. Why are we only at 65%, by the way? I feel like we should be at 100 by now. Like... We've taken everything they own, right? Maybe just because we took some damage in the battles. So, yeah, you know what? Screw it. War's over. Congratulations. Everyone gets to go home. And, oh, that's nice. Look at that. That's good stuff right there. So, our enemies deserve no quarter. Popularity, murder. Lovely. So, all of them cease to exist. We now make ourselves a big old pile of money. And... even better, the payment they made at the end there lets us break down this army because we do not want these guys hanging around. So 90 gold to get rid of them. We get rid of them. Lovely. My forces are still in good shape. Oh, now we've got a good empire. Look at that. You can actually see it from space, like, really clearly. It's no longer, like, round the outside of something. It's actually in good shape now. Oh, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it now. Finally. At this point, Greece is held by major empires only, pretty much. Because, yeah, actually, in the past few years, Boeotia's dead, Mantinea is dead, Megalopolis is dead, Azania is dead, Sparta's still here. Troyzon's just not only independent, but apparently waiting to be colonized for reasons, because literally no one lives here. Maybe Sparta, like, transferred literally everyone out of the city, and then someone else died in an event, and as a result of that... I don't know. Something bad happened anyway. Something really bad happened to Troyzon. As for Athens, they've actually been integrated by Phrygia, so they're gone at this point. So, pretty much the only people left who are actually small in any way are, yeah, Euboea. They're still floating around, and they are, hang on, diplomatically, where do you guys sit again? Ah, you're a Macedonian vassal, so only a matter of time until you get yourself integrated. Got it. So, the world is starting to come together, isn't it? Yes. Yes, it most certainly is. We're seeing less and less small empires and more large ones. The little guys are being eaten. Up in Britain, yeah. Now these days, there's like 3 or 4 major empires. Someone's doing very well up there as well. Phrygia is having problems. Because, yeah, little empires get eaten up by big ones, but then big ones run into internal problems and collapse. And that does seem to have happened to Phrygia right now. Egypt's looking good, but then Egypt hasn't really done anything this game. They've just sort of sat there being extremely rich. So, what has that actually got me? Just so I understand what we've gained here. So, Earthenware, research points plus 5%, very, very nice indeed. Mercenary provides even more olives. Honestly, I was fine with the number of olives I had, but whatever. Livestock. So, this place has access to grain, livestock, and to fish. And a fish surplus too. So this place should grow nice and fast. Okay, time to figure out what everyone thinks about us now, because the world's getting crowded here. So, Macedonia, not actually thrilled. Because different culture. Macedonian versus Hellenic, there are similarities, but there are differences too. I declined to guarantee. Maybe I did at one point, but I have accepted the guarantees since. And Olympic Games. So, when the Olympic Games happen, things are looking good. Same religion though, we are both Hellenic religiously, so that's nice at least. And they're currently at war with a whole bunch of people, including for some reason Apulia, though I'm not quite sure how you ended up in a war with those guys. Ah, that's how. Apulia is guaranteeing Epirus, and they were attacked by Macedon. So Epirus is down to just 14 cohorts. They've got one ally, who actually have 16 cohorts, but I'm not sure whether they'll even be able to make it down to help just because of access rules. So, not sure what's going to happen there. But Macedon is actually training new cohorts. At some point recently, they had 40 cohorts. Now it's 52. Though, their manpower has basically been drained down to nothing. I'm not one to cast stones about that, by the way. I'm just saying it's a fact. In fact, Phrygia's down to only 23 cohorts right now. Because, yes, so much of their territory is just naffed off to somewhere else. So, Macedon could turn the tables and take Phrygia right now. And Thrace is... no, Thrace has literally no cohorts. They don't have much of a chance of taking any of this back, however. At the bare minimum, Sparta still likes me. Me and Sparta are still cool with each other. So, for the time being, I think we should probably leave Sparta be. Because if nothing else, it's nice that we've actually got some friends who have got a decent army, access to iron, all of that good stuff. Also, one thing I keep forgetting to change, because yeah, in Imperator Rome, there's a lot of things you can do with oratory. Arguably, it could do with being centralized a little bit, because, yeah, you've got national ideas, and then you've got laws, and then on top of that, you've actually got your stance. Yeah, I feel like some of these could do with being wrapped together so they're all in one place. What could I do here that might actually be for the better? Because neutral stance isn't really that useful for anything. So, appeasing stance. Aggressive expansion goes down faster. Not really worried about that, to be honest. Improved relation cost is cheaper. Because, yeah, I can actually use oratory to improve my relationship with someone, assuming they're in diplomatic range. Now, the merchant stance. This is an interesting one to me. Commerce income up 25%. Create trade route costs down 25%. And everybody likes you more, and people who are also merchants like you even more than that. Bellicose I find a little bit underwhelming, to be honest. So war score cost down 20%, fine. Fabricate claim cost down by 10%. That's nothing really. That's saving you like 20 oratory at the beginning of a war. Not much at all. But opinion of neighbours down minus 20. That's quite significant. That's not good at all. So I'm not convinced by that one. I'm going to go over to merchant stance for the time being, because honestly, even if you're at war, it's not a bad idea. So, yeah, that's just going to get me a bunch more money, and I'm making a lot of money through commerce these days. This is good stuff. In fact, I'm actually going to bank some of that money immediately. I'm going to move my territory over to high wages, so that's about 0.5 gold a month, but it means everybody who's got a job in government gets an extra 0.1 loyalty every month, which is very, very useful indeed, just for stopping any loyalty problems emerging. And speaking of all the little things you can change, actually, national ideas, because new ones become unlocked as you go up in tech. And I've actually gone up in tech a fair bit already, so right now I'm getting national commerce income plus 20%. My alternatives are minus 30% of build cost, not spectacular. Building slots plus 1, reasonable but not great to be honest. Provincial loyalty up will become unlocked later. National commerce income up by 20%. Isn't that the one I've... No, that's the one I've already got. I was wondering why there was a duplicate there. That's because I'm already using that one. Oh, bloody hell. Capital import routes plus 3. That's ridiculous. Right, okay. So we're having that one. Got it. Oh, but some of these are very good. Citizen output plus 15%. That's going to be worth a lot of money and a lot of science. So that'd be great too. Population growth I can do without that. Yeah, I think this is going to be worthwhile. Because... Hang on, let's just see if I can actually figure out the maths here. Does it actually tell me what's going on? Yeah, so right now commerce is 7.69, and that's the level it is because it's been boosted by about 85-90%, of which 20% is complex tariffs. So if I were to scrap that, then that means that's being boosted by like 70% rather than 95%, and that is maths I can't do in my head, but it feels like 3 additional trade routes has got to be better than that. So we're going over to patronize trading posts, right there. Now, what's new down here? Because right now I'm getting, yeah, general loyalty up by 0.5, probably worth keeping. Monthly corruption down by 0.1. That's boring. I just kind of went with that one because there were no better alternatives. What else do we have here that's good? Honestly, nothing as spectacular. I kind of wish I had more civic ideas. Civic ideas are fun. But I will say, research points plus 20%. That's probably for the better. I just wish I had more civic ideas. The civic ideas are really good. Now, there's nothing to stop me having 3 civic ideas, but then I lose these benefits, which is... Is that worth doing? I'd be sacrificing 1 to all of my currencies a month. But I could actually get a lot of money in, like a ludicrous amount of money in. Citizen happiness plus 15% is... Let's not do it for now, but keep it in mind as an option. Oh, so many trade routes. Such a ridiculously large number of trade routes. This is wonderful. You know what? I want more trade routes. So over to the economy. I'm just going to buy myself some civic power right now. And I'm going to use that to also, yeah, have river outposts. So that's another trade route in Aegean as well. Screw it. Trade, trade, trade. I love that trade. And you can't have the trade routes anymore, John, because you just spent all of the civic power. And the military faction is apparently getting desperate. Right. I wonder if this is a special event because they're doing so badly. So they've basically started throwing bribes at us. I can either say yes, and at that point, yeah, there will be favours owed. Or I can say this is outrageous, then he'll lose some loyalty. And also I lose stability. You know what? I'm going to take the bribe because I don't want to sacrifice stability. Stability is only at 1 right now. I want to get that back up to plus 3. And I don't have much in the way of religious power at the minute. So, yeah, probably best we just get on with that. Ooh, Apulia, not joking about, by the way. Those guys have actually got themselves 42 cohorts. I mean, Rome itself next door only has 24, but has some powerful subjects as well. But yeah, Apulia is no joke. Though Rome is actually distracted at the minute, they're finally expanding into this territory up here. I'm not sure what happened to Etruria, by the way. They just sort of went missing. I think they might have been eaten by these guys. I've just realised why I'm not making as much money as I'd like. I forgot to demolish all of the fortresses. Right, yes, demolish fortresses, they're never a good idea. So, that can be demolished, and is that actually in a good position? I mean, it's kind of nice we've got one right next to Sparta, but when it comes to it, we'll be able to deal with Sparta. You know what, the best thing to do is actually demolish this one right here. I wouldn't mind one right here, because this one, actually, hang on. Does this lock down Aegean? I don't think it does. Ultimately, what we're going to want to do is, when we take this territory off Macedon, we're going to want to lock the hell out of Corinth, because obviously, it's a narrow choke point everyone has to march through. So, if I can lock down Corinth, that'd be great, but there's no point building them around yet because the mountains get in the way, so I'm not sure it would actually do me any good. Keep the one at Patri, just because, yeah, guarding the strait, good idea. So keep those guys right there, the rest of it, knock it down, and that should mean the economy actually recovers nicely. Right, time to help myself to some trade routes, please, and I would actually love some more grain, and there's no grain available. Boo, I want grain. Right, well, I'll have some fish at the bare minimum. Let's actually have a fish surplus. Actually, grain surplus is manpower, fish surplus isn't. So, hang on, what would I actually want here? A vegetable surplus gives me move slaves down. That's not that useful to me. I could have salt for the first time. That would actually be local fort defense plus 10%, which is not bad at all. So, yeah, I'll have the salt just because I want the salt. And I'll have the cloth because I want the cloth. Because 10% local tax, that's actually good. And the surplus isn't great either. But screw it, we'll be having that. And, oh, you're a dangerous person to trade with. You're very dangerous indeed. Because you might not exist in a few years. But screw it, we'll give it a go. We actually don't have a wine surplus right now, and that is army maintenance costs down, so that's worth having. I guess I'll take the cloth for oratory tech investments plus 5%, just further speed up investment in the technology. So there we are, 9 trade routes right there. That is slightly ridiculous, but I love it. Speed that forward a bit. What's that just done to the economy? Because the economy's got to be plus 7.48. Oh, I can afford so much. In fact, actually, I could float a small mercenary army. Some of these guys are very cheap. Like, the cheapest mercenaries are only about 8.35. I could just permanently float a mercenary army and not bother with my own troops anymore. That'd be great, wouldn't it? In some ways, that would be great. And for my one remaining trade route in Aegean, I'll take wood. Because I've already got wood, so that's local tax plus 3% for the surplus. A little bit more money will never hurt. And while I've got the oratory, I'm going to move over to, denying priests the right to sit in the Senate. To actually get tyranny down a lot faster. Because I don't like how slowly it goes down. It goes down really slowly right now. So we're making that change right now. Which, hang the flip on. Right, the religious faction are behind this, because basically they're just giving me a thumbs up to change the religious law. So, you guys really should have read the small print, because you're not going to like the change. Speaking of which, there are now way too many religious people in the Senate, so we should probably change that over to somebody else. And uh-oh. Who's this guy? And why? Oh, right. So, there's a new member of the populist faction who's got 10 oratory. And I'm guessing when the current populist leader dies, he's going to take over. And he is going to be one hell of a dominant force in politics. I am not looking forward to that. Right, move the Tesmo Terte over to the merchant faction. Let's just actually, get those guys with a few more votes. Ah, yes, and that reminds me, don't forget, move the incredibly talented guy back over to tax collection for even more money. So, I think that should be every trade route fulfilled. Government should be set up efficiently, so that gets up to 7.8. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I can't actually have more troops, even if I wanted them, because I simply don't have the manpower. I just can't get it back. I will say, I feel like manpower might be a bit aggressive in this game. I would like it to be patched to be at least a little bit more generous, because I feel like I've made huge amounts of effort to get my manpower back. I've changed laws, I've built buildings, I've promoted slaves, and even then it feels like it's coming back catastrophically slowly. And I can swap 48 gold for a bit of prestige for everyone involved. Go on then, we'll build an awesome temple because we're Olympia, so why not? But actually, when I say we're Olympia, we're not Olympia, and we're not Ellis, and we don't necessarily have to be Aegean either, because now we have to make a very interesting decision, because Ellis has access to one of the most interesting decisions in the game, to my mind. You see, now we've taken these territories, I can actually change my name again to Arcadia. But the interesting thing here is Megalopolis would become the capital of Aegean, and Aegean would then become Arcadia. So basically, I'd be moving my capital to Megalopolis away from Ellis. Now, that's important. You see, normally in this game, you can't move your capital. They've said you might be able to in future, but right now, you can't. Which means your capital is in whatever province it's in at the start of the game, and will always stay there. But if you could move your capital to a different province, that means a whole bunch of different goods are available to you. And because slaves can turn any local item into a surplus, effectively, any item that exists in your capital province, ultimately, you will be able to have a free surplus of, allowing you to use your import route to import stuff you're missing. So the question now occurs, which province would I prefer to have my capital in, based on the trade goods that are available? Because bear in mind right now, I don't have all of Laconia because of Sparta, but I don't have all of Achaea either because of Macedon. Right, trade goods. Let's see what we've got going on here. So Laconia gives me access to stone. That's very good indeed. Wine, not bad at all. Olives, literally everywhere. So not so exciting to be honest, because olives, olives, more olives. You don't really want 3 of the same inside a province, because a single territory can produce a surplus on its own. So that's a bit of a waste. As is the double wine. There's fish here, which is not so bad, and then actually, very importantly, we've got grain, but that's double grain. On the other hand, however, vegetables is nice, iron's good as well, and then down over here we've got even more wine. Fine. So that's all of Laconia. Honestly, not spectacular in many ways, purely because there's too many duplicates. Now Achaea, what do we actually have here? Fish, which is nice to have. earthenware, which is nice, but there's also a duplicate of earthenware. Wood, useful for training ships, of course. Livestock, decent enough. Again, duplicates of olives, so we're not getting away from the olive duplicates. Earthenware, we saw that a moment ago. Iron, but there's iron in Laconia as well. And again, a double wine, because there's plenty of wine in this part of the world. There's also over here, even more olives. Right, so actually both territories have triple olives, just because Greece is full of olives, because it just is. In fact, actually, they're incredibly similar, aren't they? The only real change is, yeah, there's access to grain down in Laconia versus earthenware over here. But earthenware's 2.5% national freeman output, which is nice, absolutely, just not spectacular. It's a little bit on the modest side, to be honest. You've still got giant piles of olives. There's livestock here, but then we've got fish down here, so there's no shortage of that sort of thing. Stone is nice, though. Though actually, the stone surplus is only build cost down, which is kind of flimsy. In all fairness, neither territory is actually spectacular. Neither of them are great, so I'll leave it for now. But if I was able to actually take the rest of this territory, it might be worth having a think about. But I'd probably be tempted to actually, yeah, stay in Laconia, purely because grain's actually pretty decent. Manpower plus 10%. That's nice. That's a very nice thing to have. Right, what else is going on in the world here? So, Macedon actually having a good game after a bit of a shaky moment there. Phrygia seems to be really struggling to take any of this back. In fact, actually, Phrygia's given up. Phrygia is not at war with any of these territories right now. They went for a white peace. So I would not be surprised at all if Macedon were to actually push the advantage and try and take some of Phrygia, which could keep them nice and distracted because they're about to actually pretty much mop up Epirus. Looks like Epirus has got nothing right now. Quite possibly, Macedon's actually about to cause Epirus to cease to exist. So, Macedon's getting dangerously powerful, and I'm running out of territory to expand into. Me and Sparta together, we can't stand against Macedon if they decide to attack us, but they've got plenty of enemies around here, and Rome is growing. Continually growing. Carthage, meanwhile, they just keep growing and growing too. They're definitely doing alright, but they are getting closer to each other. They are definitely getting closer together. In fact, with all the city-states mopped up, we might need to start looking further afield. And obviously, how could I look anywhere other than Crete? And would you believe it, Knossos, formerly allied with Sparta, currently has a truce with them. They've fallen out with each other. And they've only got 8 cohorts as well. Not much at all, to be honest. In fact, right now, Cydonia is at war with those guys. Right, so once upon a time, Crete was in a lovely defensive league, all cuddled up together. Not anymore, but that's partly because, yeah, Era Petra has actually done very well out of things. And aha, Era Petra is now allied with Sparta. So Sparta just swapped one Cretan ally for another, I see. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I think we could pick that up next time as we construct our first fleet and plan our first naval invasion and our first overseas acquisition as Achaea makes its move on the promised land of Crete. Hopefully, you'll join me for that. But in the meantime, I've been John. This has been Many a True Nerd, and this has been Imperator Rome. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
This guy's enjoying that. This guy's enjoying his elephant a bit too much.
In Fair Verona, we set our scene. Oh my god, Becky, look at her butt. It is so big. They've managed to glitch inside one of the buildings. Elephants in the rear! And then in comes the chariot!